Formula One is better when Lewis Hamilton is battling at the front. His first Ferrari podium comes after a year of trials and tribulations. He looks refreshed, he looks aggressive, he looks like he still belongs at the front of Formula One. And perhaps most importantly, he looks like he wants Ferrari to truly become his team. At the same time, Formula One's next generation made its own statement. Kimi Antonelli became the youngest pole sitter in Formula One history and followed it up with his first win. So after a fascinating Chinese Grand Prix weekend, the question is this: was this a genuine turning point for Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Antonelli? Or will their teammates, Charles Leclerc and George Russell, quickly take control again? Lewis Hamilton looks genuinely reset in 2026. He's noticeably more positive, more energized, and more comfortable after the winter break. The entire ground effect era was largely unkind to Hamilton's driving style, and that only became more apparent when he switched to Ferrari in 2025. But this new rules era seems to fit him a lot better. He has a lot more confidence in the car, partly because he had some input in the development direction, and he's able to push the car harder under braking, which has always been one of Hamilton's greatest strengths. He may still be lacking a little in qualifying compared to Leclerc, but he is still adapting to Ferrari, and after all, he is 40 years old. That said, he genuinely outqualified Leclerc this weekend and showed that he can at least match Leclerc in race pace and tire management. However, this is also one of Hamilton's best circuits. He holds the record here with 6 wins and 6 pole positions. He loves the track, the fans love Hamilton, and historically he has always performed brilliantly in China. Because of that, there are still some question marks that require more races to truly answer. His start to the 2026 season looks eerily similar to the beginning of his Ferrari campaign in 2025. At the 2025 Australian Grand Prix, Hamilton qualified just over 2 tenths behind Leclerc, which was a respectable result for his first race with Ferrari, and he finished only 3 seconds behind him in the race. In 2026, he qualified about 1.5 tenths behind Leclerc and fought for the podium with him in the race. The similarities continue in China. In 2025, China looked like it might be the moment everything clicked for Hamilton when he won the sprint race, but things quickly unraveled after that. Now in 2026, he battled for both the sprint win and the Grand Prix win and secured his first Ferrari podium. But it's worth remembering, China is also historically a difficult track for Leclerc. So the question becomes, did we simply see Lewis Hamilton at his best on one of his strongest tracks, while Leclerc struggled at one of his weakest? In 2025, the performance gap between them really began to grow starting in Japan. If Hamilton can stay close to or even beat Leclerc in Japan this year, then we can begin to feel more confident that his resurgence is genuine. And for the sake of the season and for the sport itself, it would be fantastic to see Hamilton fighting both Leclerc and Mercedes consistently this year. Formula One just feels more alive when that possibility exists. Kimi Antonelli finally had the weekend that he needed to justify his incredibly quick promotion to Mercedes. Toto Wolff has been praising Antonelli since his junior career, but until now we had only seen flashes of the potential that made Mercedes so confident in him. His rookie campaign had its share of struggles, rookie mistakes, moments of tentativeness, and a noticeable pace gap to Russell. Things did start to shift toward the end of last season though, particularly in Brazil where Antonelli genuinely outperformed Russell. He looked better all weekend. He outqualified Russell and outraced Russell and got a podium while Russell was not on the podium. But coming into 2026, there were still real questions about how he would measure up. In Australia, he was 0.3 of a second off Russell in qualifying and had a poor start that compromised his race. That trend continued in the first half of the China weekend. Antonelli was again about 0.3 off Russell in sprint qualifying, had another poor start in the sprint race, and even picked up a penalty. But when it mattered most, things turned around. In regular qualifying, he trailed Russell slightly in Q1, was ahead in Q2, and then delivered the biggest moment of his career so far by taking pole position, about 0.2 ahead of Russell. Russell did have a disrupted qualifying, but Antonelli still had to deliver the lap, and he absolutely did. Then came the actual race. He finally had the clean start that he needed. Yes, he lost the position to Hamilton at the beginning, but that's not entirely surprising given Ferrari's current advantage off the line. What mattered more was that he kept both Leclerc and Russell behind him. Russell was realistically his biggest threat for the win, and Antonelli managed that pressure brilliantly. Aside from a small lockup late in the race, it was a calm, controlled drive. He retook the lead from Hamilton, settled into the race, and never really looked back. Meanwhile, Russell was busy fighting the Ferraris, losing time and tire life, and was never able to mount a real challenge. For the first time, Antonelli didn't just show flashes of talent, he delivered a complete weekend. So is this a turning point for the two drivers? It certainly feels like it could be, but the honest answer is that we still need a larger sample size. Hamilton's start to 2026 looks remarkably similar to the beginning of his Ferrari story in 2025, which makes it difficult to declare a full comeback just yet. And while Antonelli finally delivered on the promise Mercedes has been talking about, Russell's weekend wasn't perfect and included reliability concerns. For both drivers, this season doesn't require them to dominate their teammates every single weekend. But what they do need to show is that their consistent struggles we saw in 2025, Hamilton's difficulty adapting and Antonelli's rookie inconsistencies, have truly been left behind in the ground effect era. If they can do that, then what we saw in China might not just be a good weekend. It might be the beginning of something much bigger. So what did you think of the Chinese Grand Prix? Was it an entertaining race? Do you think Hamilton is actually back? And do you think Antonelli can sustain a title push against Russell throughout this whole season? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're there, give the video a like and hit that subscribe button. My name is Michael. Thank you for tuning in to Last to First, and I'll see you in the next one.